She wasn't a god, nor a demon, not even fully human, but she was everywhere. In the shimmer of the rice fields, in the laughter that echoed too long, in the dream that felt a little too real. They called her Kitsune, and they feared her almost as much as they desired her. Long ago, she was just a fox, wary, quiet, watching. But foxes live longer than you think. And in Japan, they believed a fox that survived 100 years would begin to change. Not just in body, but in spirit. It would grow wise, cunning, magical. And after 1,000 years, it could bend reality. Kitsune learned how to mimic humans, not with a mask, but with memory, with detail, with perfection. She could become a priest who offered blessings, a traveler who told you things no stranger should know, or the love of your life, waiting in the rain, smiling like she'd always been there. The more tails she grew, the more powerful she became. One tail was clever. 3 could trick your whole village. 9 meant she didn't need to trick you anymore. She could own you. But Kitsune were not all the same. Some were protectors, pure white, eyes like moonlight. They served Inari, the god of rice and fertility. These were the Zenkothi good foxes. They stood by shrines, accepted offerings, and kept evil at bay. Others were not so kind. The Yako roamed free wild foxes with no master, no shrine, and no mercy. They lured men into fake marriages, possessed young girls, played with minds until the minds snapped. They didn't care for prayers, only for attention. Still, the line between Zenko and Yako wasn't always clear. A Kitsune could be generous in one story and ruthless in the next. She could save a child, then burn a temple. And maybe that's the real truth. Kitsune are mirrors. They show us who we really are, especially when we're alone. You could walk by one today and never know, unless you saw the shadow, or the tail she couldn't quite hide, or the smirk that didn't belong. Then again, by the time you noticed, it would already be too late. They say Kitsune can fall in love. And when they do, it's deep, fierce, and terrifyingly human. But love for a fox spirit is always dangerous, because it means pretending too well, forgetting what they are. And sometimes, they forget to stop. There are stories of men who married women that never aged, never bled, never tired. Wives who were too graceful, too perfect, too quiet when dogs barked, too quick to vanish when startled. Eventually, the truth would surface, a hidden tale, a reflection with no face, or eyes that glowed red in candlelight. The man would beg, she would cry, and then she would leave. Because once the illusion broke, the spell shattered with it. But not all Kitsune left. Some stayed, even after they were exposed. They raised children, tended fields, faded slowly into the mortal world, until they forgot how to be a fox at all. And that, some say, is the saddest fate. To be born wild, only to die domesticated. But not every Kitsune was a lover. Some weren't subtle. They didn't enter homes. They invaded minds. This was Kitsunetsuki fox possession. Victims, often young women, would shake, scream, bark. They'd speak languages they didn't know, eat only beans or rice, scratch at walls, or whisper secrets they couldn't possibly have heard. Families called monks, shamans, exorcists. But the fox, if it didn't want to leave, nothing could force it out. In some villages, women who disobeyed, who spoke too freely, who loved too fiercely, were said to be possessed. The fox became a scapegoat, a myth, a punishment with teeth. But the Kitsune myth wasn't just about fear. It was about fascination. Because behind every legend was a question. What happens when a lie becomes more real than the truth? When the role you play becomes the person you are? When the mask fits too well? Some Kitsune returned to the forest. Others stayed among humans, fading into names, memories, and stories. But if you ever fall in love with someone too perfect, too clever, too untouchable, you might want to check for a tale. You'd think a 1,000-year-old spirit would fade, forgotten in dusty scrolls, buried under newer gods and louder myths. But the Kitsune didn't disappear. She adapted. Today, she lives in anime, in video games, in horror films and teenage fantasies. She shows up with 9 tails in Pokemon. She haunts you as Ari in League of Legends. She seduces and deceives in the ancient Magus's Bride, Spirited Away, and Naruto. In each of these, she's beautiful, dangerous, smart, exactly what she always was. But she's not just fiction. Some still believe. In parts of Japan, people still visit. Inari shrines, fox statues flanking the gates, red bibs fluttering in the wind. They leave rice, coins, notes asking for protection or revenge. They believe the fox is listening. They believe she never stopped watching. And in spiritual circles, the Kitsune is more than myth. She's a symbol of feminine power, of transformation, of secrets no man can break. People meditate on fox energy, invoke her in rituals, claim to dream of her or to be possessed. Because the Kitsune is more than just a creature. She's an idea, a question that never gets answered, a story that never ends the same way twice. She asks, can something false become true if you believe in it hard enough? Can a mask become a face if you wear it long enough? Can a wild thing ever be tamed? And should it? So if you see a woman at dusk too still, too calm, too knowing, if her smile feels like a secret, and her eyes flash when no one else is watching, you already know what she is. She never left. She just learned how to stay hidden better. The Kitsune was never a ghost. She's the flame that flickers behind the story. And now, she's flickering behind you. Thanks for watching Pantheon Files. If this video bewitched you like a Kitsune might, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment before she tricks you into forgetting. Stay curious, stay alert, and watch your shadows.